What's up, everyone? Well, I got bitten by the mod bug again, and this time I added LEDs to the vents. In this video, I will show you how I install them, and to keep it simple, I use the 3 prominent vents only. If you've been following me on my channel, I had done a similar build on my Stinger. I thought it came out so awesome, I wanted to do the same on my Sportage. Spruce up the interior even more. I used the same type of LEDs and controller that are on my previous builds. If you haven't already seen those yet, I highly recommend you check them out on my channel. They're reliable and work great for these modifications. I'll post the links in the description. Let's get on with the installation. Alright, to get started, we'll need to remove the big screen first. And to do that, as you can see, I already started a little bit, but we'll need to remove that trim piece using a pry tool. You just get into there, and then you can just pop up, and this pops up. Do it all along carefully, and that'll expose the screws holding down the big screen. Now that the trim piece is lifted, then you could just pop right out. And here are the 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, and there is 4. Now let's remove the screws. Now that the screws are removed, the screen should slide upwards. I'm going to need 2 hands for this so I don't break anything. Once you slide up the screen, gently place it on top of the dash there, and you're going to see a few harnesses connected to it. We're going to need to unplug them all. I would start lifting from the corners here on each side, both handed, so they could slide up. Now that the screen has been removed, we'll need to remove this vent here. But before we do that, we have to remove this trim to expose the screws. We'll have to start by removing this access panel to get to the screws. What you'll need to do is to pull on this rubber molding so that it's easier to remove the access panel. With a pry tool, we'll stick it inside here, and another pry tool from the top so that it could easily come out. Here are the 2 screws that you need to remove. This one's for the vent, and this one is for the trim. Screws are removed. Let's remove the trim piece first. Now let's remove this vent. You'll have to pry it from this side first. Let's make sure it unhinges from there. Once you loosen this part up, then what the pry tool, go all around here to pull out at the same time. You might also need to go from underneath and pull out. Now that this side's removed, we'll tackle the other side. So on this side, we'll need to remove this access panel. The easiest way to do that is to pull on this rubber molding like so. You can just leave it like that, and then get two pry tools. One to go right inside here, and that will start to lift on the access panel. Then you get the other one through here to start pulling it out. Now that we have the access panel removed, that'll give you access to two screws, one here and the other one here. I had already removed those, and what we need to do next is to remove this trim here first. Then we'll get to this one. So get your trusty pry tool, stick it in that corner there, and start to pry and pop out. Once we have this side pulled out, just keep using the pry tool all along the bottom here to pull out all along the side there. Be careful with the screen. You don't want to crack that. You need two hands for this. One to pry and the other one to pull at the same time. It's going to come out this way. Okay, now that the trim piece is removed, that'll give you access to more screws. We'll need to remove this whole vent section here. Those screws are one here and another there. To start removing the vent, stick your pry tool in that corner there and pull out so that could unhinge from this section here. Once you unhinge, you could just pull towards you. As you can see, I already started prying on this side, and you can see the clips that are holding it in place. So it's good to use the pry tool from the top all along, and at the same time pulling towards you. Vent has popped off. Now it's time to remove that harness there so I could pull this whole thing out. Here's my control box for the LEDs. I used this bolt here as ground. I have other accessories attached to that ground as well, such as my dash cam. And I used a fuse tab. I tapped it to this fuse right here, washer, because that will turn off the power when the car is turned off. This is one end of the controller. This will power the LED in this vent. This is the second cable for the controller, and I fished an extender cable, ran it through the dash all along there, and coming out on the other end right here. At the end, I attached a splitter, which is one female to 3 males, and this is going to power the 2 LEDs on this side, and then we'll have one left over If you want to be creative and use a third LED somewhere, go ahead. I would like to see your project as well. This blue wire from the controller is not needed. This is more for connecting a brake light to the controller so that the LEDs turn on when you're using the brake. But in this case, we're not going to use it, so I'm just going to hide this away. Make sure you test everything. Make sure the LEDs are working. You're wired properly to the ground and power. Everything is working fine. Let's continue. Here are the results of the LEDs installed in the vents. So this is the passenger side. I stuck the LEDs on the top, and this one from the side to the bottom. It doesn't mess with the functionality of the vents. They're able to open and close properly. And this is the driver's side, how it looks like. Now we'll just need to install them back in. We'll start with the driver's side first. I fished the cable down that way so it's ready, and now we'll just have to push this back in. Alright, vent is in. I'm testing the lights. So far so good. This is the cable coming from behind the vent right there, see? Let's go ahead and install the other side. Okay, now this side's all wired up. I fished the cables through the insides. Wrap the bundle, and we're going to use this little crevice inside there to hide all the wires. Also, don't forget to plug in the factory harness. Okay, so far so good. Now let's screw it back in. On this side, vent is screwed in and wires are all tightened up, hidden away. Let's put the rest back together. We'll put this trim piece in first. Just pop it back in and then screw it on the side. Now it's time for the access panel to be popped back inside. Make sure the rubber molding is in properly. And this side is done. Back to this side. We're going to put that trim back in. We'll start from this side in first and then keep popping it in all along so we reach the end here and it gets screwed in. Trim piece put back in place and screwed in. Now to put back the access panel. And now this side's done. Rubber molding in place, access panel, trim, vent, and also on the driver's side, done. The only thing left to do is put the big screen back in. I will connect the 4 harnesses and then slide down the screen into the dash. Screw it in and apply the last trim piece. This is the finished product. This is what it looks like during the daytime. I'm really happy with this setup. I can't wait to see what it looks like at night. And this is what it looks like at night. I think it came out great. I like my blue and red color scheme, but you could always change it to whatever color you like. Of course, I couldn't just leave it alone. Just like my Stinger, I had to have my OEM custom glowing vents. view. Let me know what you guys think, or if I inspired you to do some other custom projects like this. Talk to you in the next video. Thanks for watching.